Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun, as always, is my brother in podcasting, Reed.
Hey, oh God, I'm so thirsty.
Oh God, no, that's not water. What are you doing? Stop. Oh no, that's not. Oh God. Oh God, I really got to stop replacing my SodaStream bottles with Drano. Let's get into it.
Ghostfacers! We visit ghosts, when others were not, we're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghostfacers! We visit nightmare, we visit dread! Ghostfacers! We visit faceless, we visit dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Season 3, Episode 1, The Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, the Western.
Yeah, we got Incredible 2 here, and we're talking about
The Incredible 2. Wow. Season 3, and we're already... This is pride.
Yeah.
You're describing... You're too prideful.
I mean, we're award-winning.
The original sin.
That's right. I mean, that's just true.
Came in the form of an 80s guy.
Also very true. Today we are joined by comedian, writer, and host of This Is Rad podcast, Kyle Clark, as well as filmmaker Taylor VH.
Hey, how you doing?
Filmmaker is a credit. How unfair is that? I have so many things. I'm like, she's
Then
the
make
only
a film. Earn it.
Tough but fair.
Look at that. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, there's no counter argument to that.
No, yeah. Do the thing and you can be the thing.
All right, fine, everyone.
You want the crime? Do the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why do they think they call me shit his pants?
Wait, does that
should my movie be about somebody who goes to prison so that they can commit crimes when they get out because of extra credit?
Yeah,
extra credit stars Ben Affleck.
Is this some sort of weird like inverse double jeopardy thing where it's like I voluntarily went to prison, now I get to kill one person?
All right, look, I have enough tact to understand that both of you, because you are here in this moment, get some sort of executive producer credit, but that's all you get.
Listen,
that's ours.
Woo! We're executive producers. We did it.
Attached.
I think I can finance it. Let's do this.
Why was this so easy?
All of Kyle's plans all these years are finally coming together now.
Yeah.
All it took was it for it to be kind of funny for Richard and Taylor to do, and then my dreams come true.
And suddenly it's an international production too.
Oh
yeah. Foreign investment.
Yeah.
You can go to TIFF.
That's true.
I know people at TIFF.
Did you work for TIFF?
No, but I've worked in and around the Toronto industry enough.
I can't get over looking at your gams. Like this is
which one?
Both of you. Just I don't know if I've ever seen either of your legs before. And now I'm just getting a full tilt va va voom view.
Look at this. Yeah. Ooh.
Listeners, just know like they are moving because like instead of me making this weird, they both were like, ooh, he says I look good. I'm gonna work it.
Do you have do your bare legs ever brush each other's bare legs? And it's like,
I mean,
forbidden question.
I mean, only in bed, really. But
yeah. Yeah. No, we have definitely done that.
Have we?
Yeah.
Been in bed together?
Oh no, not yet.
Oh, okay.
We're saving that for the Patreon.
Have a like boss, not your boss light that goes on around the house.
This is like an ongoing conversation right now. Apparently, I'm very much not a podcaster at work.
Oh, yeah. Richard at work is amazing because he doesn't trust himself to find the line of appropriateness. So he is humorless at the office. Richard will walk up to you and just be like, did you get that done? Okay, great. Awesome. I'll be downstairs.
He's
just...
He stays for 5 more seconds. The word cum play will come out. And
he does end every sentence with "love you, bye."
Yeah, well, yeah. It's called professionalism. We do. I have gotten the entire office making fat jokes about you, though. So
yeah, that's great. Thank you.
He's like, it's the line. It's the line, please.
Yeah. You're a white man. It's fine. We can take you down a peg.
I love that for you. You're like, as long as nobody's talking about your dick, it's fine. They can make any other comment about your body.
Yeah.
That's going to be Richard's book about professional business practices one day.
Yeah. All dicks, only thick. Yeah.
It's called Waist Up, how to talk about your employees.
My wife has been told that she is HR, which apparently stands for harm and retaliation. So
That's I like it.
yeah. So we're in season 3.
Yeah, we made it.
I can't believe it. I
What
also
a wild ride that summing up season 2 video was.
we keep talking about what this experience is going to be like for you just coming in for the beginning.
I really like setting up this precedent of just checking in the beginning of every
It's
season.
my favorite game now. I'm here for at least 13 more episodes.
I think
Yeah,
you
what-
watch the whole show just watching the first and last.
That's what I'm doing.
episodes.
That's how I'm gonna watch
just like,
Supernatural.
Well, what's great is that you can only really get a recap of the previous season because it'd be different if you were just watching the finales because then it tells you what happened through the season and then you get the sort of big penultimate moment. No,
Yeah,
it's
this is
just
a
the
weird one.
beginning, just the flat bottom of each season.
So,
Very interesting.
May I give an attempt at summing up what I vaguely remember from that thing that I watched
Ooh.
before going to a gig?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Dad is dead. I saw that.
definitely.
Yes.
It felt pretty good that when they showed the like what happened last season, at least a third of it was the one episode I'd seen.
Yes.
Yeah, very true.
Like any good old world TV show, of those 22 episodes, only like 6 are necessary.
100%.
And then apparently Dean is now dead and then undead and now a real horn dog fuck machine.
Ish.
The
Yeah.
other one, what's the other one? I was
Sam.
Sam.
The one I am is the one I forget his name.
I was like, oh god, Kyla's a Sam girl.
And that's a real Sam move.
Yeah.
Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I gotta say, like going through the whole thing, I'm really like, yeah, Sam is right. Dean's being a real dick.
Yeah.
Maybe we remember some of this. And so,
But Dean's just trying to live it up because he's
He
only
is.
got a year to live. He's not going to let his baby brother die.
and then for some reason they let out all of the devils in the world. And that's what all I got from there. So I feel like that's the big stuff from last.
That's the big stuff. Yeah.
bad season recap.
Look at that. See? I mean, that's all you needed to know. And you get a great song to go behind it.
Yeah,
so.
that's right.
Which one was playing for that?
Hell's Bells.
That's right. Okay. Couple of things I've come to accept about the show. One, the show is great.
Yes.
Thank you.
Two, this show is totally not what I thought it was now that I've seen 2 and a recap episodes.
Yes.
Thus far, my realizations are that this show is way cooler than I thought it was at the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be a lot buffier.
Right.
And was
No.
not aware that instead of being Buffy, it's just sort of about 2 brothers who fucking shoot monsters in the face to classic rock, which is really not how they sold the show. So I
No.
at 15 years, they clearly had a good thing going, but I feel like they really, on some level, fucked up their advertising because, like,
Yeah.
I
100%.
thought this show was like going to be like the Vampire Diaries, like not a bad thing, but not a thing I need to go watch. And instead,
Yeah.
I'm just like, how did I fuck this up and not watch this show?
I mean, this is the biggest problem with this show is that it is the precursor to all of those terrible shows. All of those shows want to be this show.
I don't think they do though, because like none of them. I am watching right now the show The Strain. Like I decided that's my thing for the moment.
Great show.
I keep saying, and it's really good. I made the joke. I did this, and there was some movie I was just talking about where I was like, I'm really getting up to the things I blew off in 2015.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but it's I've been digging watching that, and it's the first time I've not hated watching a TV show in quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because that show feels very similar to this, but it's like so far removed. But it's the only other one that I've seen that has like actually like fighting monsters and like, the like action is at the front and everybody's like doing cool stuff. Whereas I feel like every other show is sort of like some poorly constructed action scenes and then a lot of like standing around kind of just bringing the show to a grinding halt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is
Sam, baby.
I mean, this reminds you a bit of, I've been listening to some of the like Quentin Tarantino interviews he's been doing lately because he's releasing that book. And one of the things that he talks about and everybody asks him is like, after that Pulp Fiction came out, everybody tried to make a Pulp Fiction, but they sort of took the wrong things away from what made Pulp Fiction good. And so it became sort of this filtered through multiple layers version of this thing. And it's like, you don't really get what's good about it. And so like with the Vampire Diaries and all those shows that they're like going, well, it's monsters and hot guys, right? Like we watched the marketing for this show. We understand why people like it rather than actually watching, consuming and understanding what was quality about it. Yeah. And the problem is there's like a huge disconnect between the writers of this show and the people who are marketing and making those other shows.
Yeah.
It's
So-
like they're a family, and we like that. And they
Yeah.
kill things. And we
Well,
like that too.
one of the things that
We've been having the conversation that like minus the like ghosts and
Yes.
afterlife thing, this show runs exactly parallel to Fast and the Furious in the way that it continually ramps up. It's about family, cool cars, crazy action. These two people are somehow way more qualified than they should be. It's
Somehow it
like
keeps going.
somehow
Oh,
it
yeah.
keeps going. It's like if I made the pitch that if in Fast 10 Dom dies and they need to get his soul back, they should recruit Sam and Dean to go and race him in heaven to
That's
convince
not
his soul to
not
come back.
on the pile of options.
Yeah.
Like the guys who play Sam and Dean for sure dig Fast and Furious movies, and have for sure. And the guy who plays Dean has 1,000% auditioned for that Paul Walker role in 1999.
Probably.
Question: he was a little too young for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely carries all that. Just that young. He has that young, better Ryan Phillippe energy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, let's start talking a bit about this episode.
Sure.
So this episode aired October 4th, 2007, was written by Eric Kripke, directed by
Kim
Manners.
Classic team up.
The classic team up, right? Like these are the two that sort of, I think, really set the tone for the rest of the series. Whenever they come together, it's really the show being the most the show is, especially for the first 5
It's the real tent pole kind of things. Yeah.
100%. It was viewed by an estimated 2.97 million viewers. So, look, I mean, we're a bit low for this series, and definitely for some of the peaks of the previous 2 seasons. You're talking about people having to that now like re-engage with the show that maybe they haven't watched the last 2 seasons. I can understand why it's gonna probably go up from here, but I can understand that season finale actually had some pretty low views, and so I can get why this pilot is probably still pretty low.
Yeah, it's the thing we talked about. Yeah, finales and premieres are so story heavy that people maybe skip them if they just normally bomb in for random episodes or things like that.
I'm impressed by both premieres I've watched so far because they both had plots that then resolved by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I find that like the years sort of past this, you start to get into that setup of like, okay, like there's here's the season premiere. It's kind of worthless.
Yeah. Or it's like, here, this is just giving you a few ingredients so that you understand the rest of the season, which just like, that's not what this show is about. Like,
I mean, when this show started, we still weren't in the glut of only serialized storytelling. Like we weren't 100% in that yet. We'll get there, but like this show still stood out a little bit by balancing it at all.
Yeah. Monster of the Week a bit for sure.
You really set up like, hey, here's a roadmap to the rest of the season. We're gonna lay it out what the task is.
Almost like a road so far.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
The road so far is how they start every season premiere when they give you like the clip show of the previous
I
season.
missed that part.
Yeah. Let's talk about some international titles
Let's do it.
of this episode. So this episode, of course, called The Magnificent Seven.
Right.
The title of this episode is from the Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen classic film, The Magnificent Seven, a Western sort of film.
Yeah.
It's
Itself based on Seven Samurai.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A big piece of this is that when they were directing this episode, they wanted it to feel a bit like a Western, and sort of how it ended up tying into both the Seven Sins as well as.
It took me a minute to put together. I'll be honest. I'm a little slow.
God, you're pretty. So let's. What are we? It's an interesting thing with this season. Typically, there's a lot of for those first 2 seasons. There's been a lot of international titles. I haven't looked in past season 3, but for season 3, it's actually a lot less international titles that are available.
Oh, like just that we know
In general,
or
that
just,
like trying to dig them up, like it's way easier for the first 2 seasons, but for some
maybe
reason,
most of these ones just lined up.
Maybe
Like they just translated close.
Potentially, I did some deep research to try to find the other countries, and they just weren't available. So I don't know if like a bunch of countries just got the first 2 seasons and then they didn't keep porting them over. I'm not really sure, but
May I take a guess on an international title? Is Hot Brothers Fight Cowboy Sin?
I mean, look, for some of these episodes, that's not that far off.
Boys with Dead Father Deal with Things from Movie 7.
That sounds like a
Shout-
song though, right?
Oh yeah. Yes. Orphan Boys Enjoy Song by Clash.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say Cowboy Sin is my favorite Heath Ledger movie.
Shout out, by the way, I watched this with the closed caption so I could take in all of the information. And when he makes the 7 joke and says, "What's in the box?" and says, "Did you guys never see 7?" The closed caption is spelled at SE7.
Really? Yeah.
Oh,
Nice touch, closed captioners.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
there was
yeah.
some passion from that closed captioner. He really loved what he did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So we got 4. The first one is straight up just the Magnificent Seven. That's
Sure.
who do you think it is?
Oh, Germany,
Brazil.
Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil.
Okay.
Straight down the line. What about the French title?
French title is they're only vices if you don't enjoy them.
Or no, the French title is like, "I don't understand why these handsome boys are fighting 7 great things."
Yeah.
So-
Americans attack the French way of life.
yeah.
And the episode title, "Americans just don't understand."
So the French title is
The sound effect is somebody eating something covered in butter while having sex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one did make it to air. But the 7 Deadly Sins is
Oh
the French
sure.
title.
All right.
What about the German?
German title. Like Sin Demons or something.
No,
like
this is
that.
very German title.
Is it so like crazy literal then?
No, the other kind of German title.
Oh, then I'm not sure.
This is
There's a lot to it.
no, this is the Glorious 7.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that kind of German.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Weird. Right after that, they changed over to a different titling company.
I was like, ooh, okay.
They didn't watch the app.
No.
Oh,
These are the great guys. I don't understand. Why are these 2 boys coming after our friends?
no. Oh, you're asking my favorite part of Fast and the Furious? Probably race wars.
Also, nice touch that you basically said Fast and the Furious.
Oh.
Oh.
I wish I could take credit for that. That was just an accident,
He
but
was actually just thinking Fast and the Furious, and he was thinking about that damn costume he bought.
Oh, you saw that parody I watched? Don't know. And the final one, the Hungarian title.
oh, Hungarian title is like it's called like Fuck, Marry, Kill or something like that.
Every episode is named that there.
They were really trying to push for that. These are a little too literal, I would say. This
This is too literal.
yeah.
7 demons or something like that.
So it is the 7 are deadly sins.
The 7 are deadly sins.
Yeah.
I like that, but in the episode, that knowledge drops like 2/3 of the way through.
Yeah.
Which I did not pick up on until they said it. Literally went, "Oh, that's what this is about."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Hungary's
But
like
in Hungary, they're like, right at the gate, the 7 are
Yeah.
deadly sins.
yes. Just so we're all on the same
We're
page. Let's talk about the featured music from this episode.
Sure.
We got some fucking bangers.
Yeah, this
This
episode's
episode.
got some good music.
We got Hell's Bells by AC/DC.
Right.
We got You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet by Bachman Turner Overdrive. I Shall Not Be Moved by JB Burnett.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Um,
Where it drops really works.
yeah. And Mean Little Town by Howling Diablos.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a great band name.
I love that.
I'm really just interested if the CW has like a particular licensing deal with like one of the major distributors and they just can get whatever, because there's like 3 big music distributors, 3 big music licensors. If they have just like a deal with
Like with-
one
I bet
and they can pick from that but nothing else.
So I'm a jump on your theory and expand, because I had not thought about that, and I think you're super right. And the reason I think about it is not to brag, but me and my brother, the last thing we did before he moved to France for 2 months was watch Space Jam: A New Legacy.
I just watched that too, yes.
Which is not a movie.
No,
But
a commercial.
it is interesting, but it really shows you, if nothing else, it is a demo for how the Warner Brothers backlog is very available for licensing.
Mm-hmm.
And this was CW, so I would wager, I'd be curious if AC/DC and BTO are on a Warner Brothers based record label. Because now that you say that, because every time I watch a show, I'm like,
Warner Music.
yeah, I was like, I can't believe how expensive the show must be. And you have just brought to my attention that I'm dumb. That is for sure what they're doing.
I think it's partly that, but partly at least at the time, they were like, people weren't like, the classic rock wasn't as like omnipresent in like media as I think it became even just like the mid 2000s. I like people weren't like clamoring for it, especially you hadn't gotten your Guardians of the Galaxies and like Iron Man's.
Did that.
Yeah.
They made Iron Man.
Totally.
That off into-
Yeah. 100%. I think it's probably twofold for sure. But I mean, yeah, once Iron Man came in, suddenly everybody needed to put like classic rock and like 70s, 80s rock and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So.
And
I do-
The classic rock was like just AC/DC though, because they're less expensive than the rest.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like it's definitely like when you look at it and you're like, oh man, they got all these good songs, but they got all these good songs because they are mid-tier songs because you can afford you can get Hell's Bells and you ain't seen nothing yet for the price of one, I don't know, Bad Company.
Just wait till season 12 when they just were only using Chinese Republic.
Just it's Soviet operas and just like weird. They do the same thing every TV show did at a certain point. It's like we just found out indie bands will just like give you all their songs forever.
Yeah.
They're doing poorly. We gave them $50 and a hot meal, and they gave us their entire discography.
Yeah, Death Cab wrote the entire next season.
If you remember, Death Cab was doing like a looking back weird amount of soundtrack work back then.
Yeah, there was that one show. Oh God, what was the TV show with the theme song, the Little Boxes song?
Weeds.
Yes, Weed. It's like every single like episode or
had the
something.
new theme song.
Yeah, that was crazy. They had like huge indie artists doing it. Yeah.
I mean, last thought on this, but you want to talk about a show that probably either had an amazing licensing deal or just a crazy music budget, and whether or not you like it, it's Grey's Anatomy.
Oh yeah.
And I think the Grey's Anatomy is operating off of the OC.
Yeah. That and One Tree Hill had a banging soundtrack.
Another Warner Brothers show.
Yeah. There we go. That's 100% what it is then. They just have a huge, massive library.
Yeah.
Music, it turns out, is popular.
Oh, no. So TV Guide describes this episode as, in the third season opener, Sam and Dean team up with Bobby, but they have their hands full as they battle 7 deadly demons who use their dark side of human nature to their advantage.
Yes. It's funny that normally TV Guide just comes out and tells you the plot of the episode, and here they're like, we shouldn't use the word sin. Let's keep that.
7 deadly demons.
Let's play coy with that.
I don't know who.
Yeah. Coy this one time.
Yeah.
7
demons and something about human nature. What could it be?
Yeah. Did Jeff Johns write this episode?
No, I liked it.
So
my joke with Richard is that it's a Jeff Johns story when there's 7 of something.
yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So much.
I feel like if you're an editor at DC Comics, you've gotten really good at the sentence. I don't know, Jeff, what?
There's 7 Lantern Corps. There are 7 seas. There are 7 magic lands.
Okay, guys, I've got this idea. Let me guess. 7 of something?
He moves to Marvel and goes, I've got an idea. They're like, well, it's not something dumb like the Sinister 7. He's like, I have to leave my post.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry to waste your time.
Yeah. Could you make it 8? That doesn't make any sense.
So in the past season, Dean has been a demon man for some time, yes?
No. So in the last season, in the episode that you watched, Dean was sort of in the veil and then ends up back to life because his dad.
The last season.
Yes. Because his dad makes a deal with the yellow-eyed demon and Dean comes back.
So he's dying and then he meets a sexy lady and then he's like,
Sam is dying and he makes a deal.
Yeah.
Sam dies last season.
Yeah. Straight
Dean
up
makes
dies
a
at the
deal
finale.
to bring him back. He's now got 1 year to live, and if he tries to welch out of the deal, both he and Sam die.
Yeah.
So
He
where
sacrifices
we
himself.
pick up with
Yes.
Dean, he's
like 100%. That's what the whole show
He's
is.
in with Dean and he's having a fuck party in a motel.
he's on like a
Brother
fucking
waits in the
eat
car.
tour through America. Yeah.
But before we get into our thoughts
Yes.
on today's episode, why don't we open up Dad's journal and learn about some of the real world lore on today's episode?
Oh yeah, baby. Let's see what the lore says about the 7 deadly sins. So, the 7 deadly sins, even though heavily talked about in Christianity, do not originate in the Bible. the idea of like listing vices and things like that wasn't super new. Like Aristotle and Horace talked about the idea of virtues and vices. I think it was Aristotle talked about them like on a spectrum where like
Aristotle was like, here's your top 5 sins brought to you by Redbubble.
yeah.
The fuck was that?
I was trying to do a Letterman thing. It didn't work.
Oh, was that what that was?
Aristotle's thing was that there was like a spectrum. So if you take like an idea like courage, having the right amount of courage is good. Having too little makes you a coward, and that's bad. And having too much makes you reckless, and that's bad. So it was about like balance in that. The more modern concept of the 7 deadly sins dates approximately to the 4th century, but it started with 8 evil thoughts. So they're so the 8 are gastromargia, which is gluttony, porneia, which is prostitution or fornication, philargyria, which is avarice, lipe, which is sadness, orge, which is wrath, akidia, which is dejection, kenodoxia, which is boasting, and hyperophania, which is pride. So there are 8, and some of them feel like they
got cut off the list eventually.
Well, just wait. So then in Latin, they get slightly adjusted to gula, which is gluttony, luxuria or fornicatio, which is lust and fornication, avaricia, which is avarice, tristitia, which is sorrow or despair or despondency, ira, which is wrath, exedia, which is sloth, vanagloria, like vainglory, and superbia, or pride or hubris. And then, just legend, Pope Gregory the First.
Oh shit!
Yeah, we stan a pope.
Yeah.
In 590, he made revisions to the list. He combined sorrow and sloth. Basically, he also combined vainglory and pride, and he added envy to the list because envy wasn't really in there.
Don't you be jealous of me? I'm just Pope Greg.
Yeah.
I'm Pope Greg.
Greg.
You ever
I'm a
drink?
good Pope, make an assessment.
Yeah.
You ever drink the blood of Christ out of a shoe?
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I can't believe I only just saw old Greg this past week.
Oh God.
So Pope Gregory is the first is the one that did that. So now we get the 7 deadly sins we sort of commonly understand: gluttony, lust, greed, wrath, sloth, envy, pride. The sins are like heavily referenced in a lot of like Christian theology and discourse. Thomas Aquinas talks about them a lot. And then of course in Dante's Divine Comedy, the sins are like very prominently featured with like different versions of them or their respective crimes represented as like the layers of hell or purgatory or things like that.
My God, Taylor, I went and saw Dante's New Comedy, and it was simply divine.
I'm glad we all stopped for that.
Oh my God, that's the time code I want. Yeah, that's So what are the sins truly? So they got categorized as Dante said they were all perversions of love. So the idea with that, like gluttony, lust, and greed are excesses of love. Wrath, envy, and pride were like perverted version of love where you enjoy seeing harm befall others.
Sorry, there's other types of love?
And then sloth was like a deficiency of love. So some fun specifics here. So gluttony is obviously overindulgence to the point of waste. So it's the idea of the wealthy gorging and depriving the poor. So subcategories it's not just about eating too much. It could be eating too soon, too eagerly, too preciously, like being too dainty with your food, or eating too expensively. Those are all sort of sub things of gluttony.
But does it also include like things that aren't food related, like too much of like other things?
Like
No, gluttony for the most part was about like actual.
Pope G was all about eating ass.
It was all about consumption. Yeah. Oh God, Pope Gregory, that man could toss a salad. But to Taylor's point, lust includes things beyond sexuality. So when I was looking at the Wikipedia article, first thing they were like crimes of lust include rape and bestiality, and I was like, okay, Wikipedia, like, Jesus. Also adultery, but to Taylor's point, things like love of money or power, things that are sort of intangible, those things get categorized under lust. So greed, it generally applies to material possessions, which is why like things like power is lumped in with lust.
Yeah.
So theft and robbery, those sort of things are crimes under the sin of greed. Wrath obviously includes things like
Reed was reading the page and he was like, man, theft and robbery and bestiality.
it's like easy Wikipedia. Jesus.
Coming up and we keep winking at you.
I mean, the most
other link.
The most disturbing one is how bestiality is under wrath too. But
yeah.
So wrath would include, treason, murder,
Livestock.
Jesus Christ.
You're gonna be so mad about it.
Good Lord. But wrath also includes just hatred, vengeance, or like generally forsaking the idea of like God's love kind of idea. Sloth, we tend now to think of it as idleness or laziness, but when you look back at those like Greek and Latin ones and where it came from, they had at least a somewhat understanding of depression, where like that it was tied together, that sort of idle. It's more about like the giving up is the sin, that you're taking this precious gift God gave you and doing nothing with it. So they extend that to things like they extend it to the idea of apathy or like good people doing nothing, like failing to act on behalf of others is part of sloth and part of that sin. Envy.
I always just think of that Mr. Show sketch where it's the Satan version of the 700 Club. And Dave Croc, the little kid in the wheelchair, and they're like, he's not infirm. I'm just incredibly lazy.
Oh my God.
Envy is more specific than just lust and greed. It's like literal covetousness of something specific that someone else has. And it's also described as a desire to deprive others of theirs. So more than just hoarding stuff yourself, it's like I must make sure other people have less as well. And then pride, generally considered to be the most potent and the father of all sin. It's selfishness, hubris, the feeling of inherent superiority. C.S. Lewis referred to it as the anti-God state. It's the opposite of kind of compassion and humility and things like that.
C.S. Lewis is a fascinating writer.
Yeah.
Because like, as a heathen, I should be really not buying what he's selling, but periodically, I'm like, that's an interesting point you got there, CS.
All right.
My last thing I got here, there's a ton of pop culture examples of the 7 deadly sins.
Definitely.
There's literal ones, like in Shazam, they have the 7 deadly enemies of man. It's literally the sins. And then there's the metaphorical ones, like this fun BuzzFeed article I found where they said that the friends are all 7 deadly sins.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm just going to run through them quick here. Joey is gluttony.
Yeah.
Monica is pride.
Yeah.
Phoebe is lust. Chandler is sloth. They specifically talk about his go nowhere career and shit like that. Ross is wrath. Rachel is greed. And Gunther is envy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Mr. Heckles.
God, in that reunion where they throw in Gunther and it's just, oh God. What
because he's like got like stage 4 cancer. Something.
Yeah.
He actually like can't walk. At any rate, there you go. 7 deadly sins, baby.
Wow, what a
In terms of like on the sin spectrum, some of those like gluttony, it's like, yeah, but like live it up a little. Have the large fry.
But that's the Aristotelian thing, right? You got to find the
Right.
balance, right? All of these things can be both virtue and vice.
Yes,
in
exactly.
some capacity.
It's got to be all or nothing. You got to feel shitty either way.
I mean, on the gluttony and America note, years ago, Wendy's in Canada switched to American sizing, and I ordered.
No, I'm so
I
sorry.
I ordered a large Coke, and it didn't fit in any cup holder.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a bucket.
I will
What?
say this.
It was
In
crazy.
21 years, and I give zero credit to Morgan Spurlock. The size wars at fast food places have really settled into sort of a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
Like Wendy's and Taco Bell are still kind of leading the front as far as like preposterousness goes, but most places a large has settled into what you just imagine to be a dumb American large, and a medium is pretty much a standard medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how is the Wayans not created a parody of the Fast and the Furious being with like fast food, like the Fast and the Foodious?
The Fat and the Furious?
And
The Fat and the Furious wouldn't be made by them. That would be made by that one shitty Zucker who made Plump Fiction.
that way you can get the size wars.
Point, something I'm really curious about with you guys watching Supernatural is like the Americana aspect of it. What does that do for you? Because I definitely have a specific reaction to it because like there is, I don't know about for every American, but like for me, there's definitely like the call of the road and the call to like go on the road trip and go through like, and like go through the heartland.
I think there's
that aspect.
I think there's an element of that in Canada. I think
sort of,
but it's more in the idea of like the expansiveness or like in nature or something like that. Like
you guys got a big country.
We do. I don't think we have the culture of that the way there is in the States. And I think part of that is that there are more stops in the States.
Yeah.
There are more settlements, more spread out. You know, like I think in Canada there's a little bit.
69.
Nice.
Oh yeah, bud. But I do think there's
when they turn it on, it's terrifying.
I do think there's an element of that. Like great Canadian music, some of the stuff that really sticks with me has that sort of like wanderlust, almost country feel to it. You know, like
sure.
You know, there are some tragically hip songs that make me think of just like rolling down the windows and driving and stuff like that.
The side of Juno Award winners, the tragically hip.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's
It's
an
a
element.
less-
That sense, I could sound like I was writing for a Canadian music paper.
I think at the end of the day, like the big differences are that like we don't have that like rest stop, road stop sort of. It's more of like driving in the middle of nowhere and being nothing around. Like those
Stop at a
two.
fun French Canadian country village house.
Yeah.
Farmhouse and go give us shit.
Yeah, I mean, a large part of like the conversation is always there. Like you drive through the prairies and there is nothing. Like, like the conversation is always like cross Canada, and most of it is you driving through nothing. Like even from like the touring band standpoint, like we mostly stayed in Ontario, and then there would be like special occasions that you would drive way too long to get to something in the middle of nowhere. Like I think that
I think we are more sparse than America is. There's fewer of us. There's fewer of us and more space. So I think that's the difference, you know.
Unlivable zones.
Yeah, there's the middle of your country has portions where it's like, do not be people here for a part of the year.
Yeah, well, that's
my sister lives in Manitoba, and I'd argue that that's 11 months of the year.
Yeah, yeah, nobody wants to be in Manitoba. I think that there's. Like we haven't
Manitoberfest, because if they're not, they're fucking leaving money on the table.
No, the big German population is where I grew up in Ontario, in Kitchener. Used to be called Berlin, Ontario, and then they changed that during the war.
Oh, why? What happened?
The new Sunshine one.
Yeah.
Is French Canada an actively hostile place?
Yes.
Only if you're not French.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
He's speaking as French.
I mean, I shouldn't fully say that. Rural French Canada is pretty hostile to
like rural South
to Anglophones, but not hostile like they'll
murder you.
You're not at risk of physical harm, but they'll just be mean to you. Like
like the guy from the Kyle,
Yeah.
like the guy from the cinnamon bun place.
Okay, yeah. Oh, so
Yeah.
that's a good example. He was the rudest man I've ever met.
Yeah. Like the thing is,
he has
New York
such
City 3 times, and a rural Canadian man was the rudest person I've ever met.
the thing with French Canadians is they're aggressive when it comes to protecting their culture and their language. Like that's when they get aggressive.
yeah.
I think that we have a huge French Canadian population here, which wasn't like that back in Ontario. Like here, it's a huge chunk of our population, and they're definitely really protective of their culture and their language, and I think
they're all pretty nice up here, though. Well, whatever. I don't have a problem.
Yeah, I know, because you could speak their language. Yeah. I could go on vacation to Montreal, but I can't speak French. I think, you sent me a text the other day
Montreal
asking
is
me about
basically
that.
an English city.
We had a debate because I was convinced that Richard speaks fluent French, and I decided to call me on it and text him in the middle of the night.
We were talking about how it's like, you know, being from here, but especially being from LA and growing up because Kyle and I grew up in different parts of LA, and I feel like that affects like how much Spanish you just
For
like,
sure.
understand, and then
Yeah.
there's the amount of how much you can speak. And
I
it's
mean, Richard should be better at French than he is because there's French Canadians down near Windsor and
Yes.
stuff like that. You should be better than you are.
Yeah, except for
just a degen.
yes. I think for me the barrier for me was we moved cities when I was in grade 4, and from the city that I grew up until grade 4, they didn't teach French until grade 4.
That's crazy.
And then I moved to a city where they had been in French class for 3 years, and I was like, oh no. And so they were kind of like, you can
just
show up,
singing,
but
like the Madeline Orphans, and you're just this like shitty.
They
kid
all
wanting-
laughed at you just.
Alouette, gentille alouette.
None with an acoustic guitar singing along with them, and just like snotty little Richard walks in.
so the teachers basically for my entire grade school years were like, you can come to the class, but we don't worry about
En
it.
français.
So let's get into the episode. I don't know how we got here.
Right before I go, just because it made me think of it, shout out to, I believe it's Asterios Kokonos, one of my favorite jokes of all time, which is when your girlfriend is really mad at you, what you really want to do is stop her in the middle of when she's talking and go, en français?
Yeah, I'm going to try that with my wife, see how that goes.
She gonna punch you?
Yeah, we both know my wife's going to hurt me for that. Which is what I
The
want.
danger of having a partner that can take you in a fight. You really start having to live a life where you're just like, got to be politer.
It's all about the low blows.
Oh,
Yeah, and when you're tall, it's all low blows.
I love that all three of us soy boys have basically the same sort of perspective here.
where we actively search out like strong women who can kick our ass.
Just enjoys a very smart, funny, slightly violent woman.
Yeah.
What am
Yeah,
I supposed to do? Be nice to you?
Have you met us?
Yeah, not if you want to keep us. Uh-oh, that speaks way too much about what I want.
Yeah, there you go.
So let's talk about today's episode. So we talk.
Did we get that time code?
Oh,
Yeah.
we begin with the road so far. This is the introduction of a brand new opening scene where it says then and now or the road so far. So it's in a whole new different font and background. So this is a thing that becomes prevalent for the rest of the seasons is we change the sort of look of these beginning like then and now and supernatural logos. Basically these title cards.
Season, I don't know. We'll get it close now.
Yeah, basically. So the first 3 seasons in a row where an AC/DC song accompanied the recap. This season was Hell's Bell. Season 4 is going to be You Shook Me All Night Long. And season 5 is Thunderstruck. It's sort of the next 3 seasons are sort of to encapsulate this one sort of thing. And the season 5, basically the show becomes something different. We'll talk
and then
about
season
when we get
6
there.
is Big Balls.
Yeah.
You know, this uses the song Big Gun that AC/DC did for the Last Action Hero soundtrack.
Yeah.
That song.
It is a great
That's
song.
a good song, yeah.
This begins with an overview of the first 2 seasons. We get to see Sam dying, Dean trading his soul, and then them opening up the doors to hell, as Kyle sort of already talked about. Basically, now we understand the stakes of this season, which is like we don't know what got out from hell.
Yeah.
And we know that Dean has a year to live, and that's basically where we start out this episode. We begin in
That their third season, like, what if we just made another pilot with like a whole new kind of concept for a show?
Well, it's funny because we
Yeah.
talked about this at the end of season 2. They killed the yellow-eyed demon because they were pretty sure they were getting canceled.
they were
and
told they were
to
actively
like
going to be
they were
canceled.
told like you should try to wrap this up.
Does
Leave
this become a runner across the series? Because
Yes.
it's always crazy to me when it's 2005 to 2020.
Yes.
And it's like it's wild to me every time because I'm just like I feel like it's a show that felt like it must have almost been canceled almost the entire time. So
Up until season 7, basically.
and then
So-
and then it was pretty secure after that.
every show
Like
should be concerned it's getting canceled the whole time because I feel like it always keeps the
Keeps you
show
on your
more
toes.
interesting.
yeah.
So in the in season 3, they had, or season 2, they had invited them to the upfronts, and Supernatural was part of that whole thing. And then basically they didn't ever want to go back, and they didn't have a really good time, and it was sort of a bad experience for them. So they didn't go to the upfronts after that. But then they had a new president of the CW in 2007, and when he came along, he loved Supernatural, and he basically said, "As long as you guys want to keep doing the show, I love this show. Keep making
Can't
it."
be super expensive to make. It seems like
No.
kind of a dream show to have on your channel.
They don't get paid very much.
It's cheap, it's consistently solid, and it has a fan base, and it's just the machine can run as long as you need it to. No one in that show's getting too famous. They murdered Jeffrey Dean Morgan before they had to deal with that problem.
I feel like I saw the numbers at some point, and they make like 250,000 an episode or something like that. Like it's nothing crazy. Like
That's still like to me like what a fucking dream gig. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I now understand like when people are always like, what happened to that actor? I'm like, oh, that one who made, you know, like a couple $1 million a year for 15 years and is like, cool, I don't work now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm learning to skateboard. I'm 40 and I'm retired.
They opened up like a brewery. They like started a couple companies. One of them has like a weed business. Like they really are
And
guys who were in Supernatural, if you just want to come hang out, you should hit us all up. We're fun. We are cool, rich friend.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's they definitely have a good deal going on. So we start in Oak Park, Illinois. Season 3 opens up with, in a residential neighborhood just west of Chicago in Oak Park, giving a pan shot of the skyline in the background. A male resident is taking out a bag of trash. He pauses for a second as he approaches the sidewalk.
I love this. I love this setup because he's like he's dressed so schlubbily, but he's living in a nice neighborhood next to a nice neighborhood neighbor. But the neighbor's got this amazing car, and his car looks like they literally took like a Brillo pad to it. And it's like you still live in the same neighbor. You know, like I love the setup of this where he's like, I'm doing well, but not that well.
It's like, I got a good job, but like no girlfriend or anything. What I mentioned to Kyle is like, I too would just sit there and just kind of watch the weird spooky sounds happening.
Yeah.
I just stood and watched, just kind of like, huh.
Yeah, the
Going
demon storm cloud that kind of comes
probably
over.
get inside if I saw clouds like that. He's just like, I'm gonna watch them.
I'm gonna see how this plays out.
As someone that used to
Could be a boost
live
for me.
I don't know.
Someone that used to live at the end of Tornado Alley, which extends into Ontario, we get crazy thunderstorms. Love sitting outside for a crazy storm.
Yeah, sky goes gray, and you're like, let's see where this plays.
Oh
out.
yeah, you want to see if there's a twister. You want to see if there's an insane lightning strike.
Yeah.
Love a storm.
Reed, just so I can ask again, half of the show is me just having an excuse to ask weird Canadian specific questions. Where you live, did you get the road signs with the face that is a cloud that is blowing?
No, we had.
I am obsessed with that sign.
We had constant like tornado drills in school and stuff.
Yeah,
like that, but
no blowy cloud face.
no blowy cloud sign though.
We had there's a huge nuclear reactor near Windsor.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
it's the nuclear reactor that Ontario forgets about. Too.
Yes, yeah. So we would have nuclear reactor sort of thing where you get on your desk. I'm not sure what that does.
An old girlfriend of mine from university lived in Pickering.
Yeah,
and so they always had to do the drill where it's like, get under your desk, a meltdown's happening.
And it's like, I don't think this helps.
Like our earthquake drills that we have.
Yeah.
How insane is this sign?
Yeah, the sign's pretty.
Sorry, I had to show her the face blowing.
I feel that
winds
this
across
sign
the
just has
highway.
90s bangs, just like center part.
Oh yeah, they've definitely got the brother from Boy Meets World blowing wind upon a freeway.
Oh my god,
That's amazing.
that's really funny. So we hear a slight breathing sound heard in the distance. He glances back to his car and continues to walk up to the curb. After placing the trash, he starts walking back towards the house when he hears the trash cans rattling. He turns around and walks slowly towards them. The closer he approaches to the cans, the louder and the faster they rattle.
I really wanted like a raccoon fake out here.
I know, yeah.
Me too. I was
Yeah.
like, there's gonna be a raccoon in there, right? And the
Yeah.
raccoon should be okay.
Yeah. Not the case.
But then the raccoon is really lust.
And then he fucks the raccoon.
The raccoon fucks him.
Yeah, let's
Oh,
be
no.
honest. Yeah, that's lust, right? Then the street lights are flickering, looks up in the skies, and then we see that iconic black demonic smoke cloud start forming along the moonlight. As the clouds inch closer to him, several strands of the black smoke break away from the clouds and start shooting towards him, as well as like a bunch of other places in the distance.
The thing that I like in this is that one sort of seeks him out,
Yeah.
chases him. The cloud like hits him in the back of the head
Yes.
and knocks him down, and then in through the mouth.
Yes.
Aggressive, like very transgressive. Way better mode for the demon smoke than
We've
in
seen in previous
season
seasons.
1, episode 4.
Oh, yeah.
It went in through the eyes. It's way scarier in through the
So
mouth.
this is also the only one of 2 episodes when only the irises of the demon's eyes are black. The first such episode was in The Phantom Traveler, and in all the other episodes, the whole demon's eyes are filled in.
I thought the whole demon's eyes were black
No,
here.
no.
They are in parts and they're not
Yeah.
in parts.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So he gets up, he looks into the sky as the smoke makes its way all over different parts of the Chicago skyline and dissipates.
Yeah, heading to Chicago.
Yeah, and so that is our cold open.
Yeah. which is great.
Yeah, I mean, we get demons are around. If you've seen other seasons, you know that this guy's been inhabited by a demon. That's kind of all you know. If you remember the previous season, you remember the black smoke breaking out, and so you're making a connection at least from those two things. It's like, well, now the smoke is inhabiting people most likely.
Yeah.
We then flash to a motel, a location unknown, about a week later.
Yep.
Sam's sitting inside the parked Impala, reading through ritual books on demons, trying to find any lead on breaking demons.
He's like
free.
specifically reading about Dr. Faustus. Yeah, he's trying to figure out how to break demon deals.
Yeah, Dr. Faustus said that like wearing a mask doesn't really keep you from getting a demon into.
Dr. Anthony Faustus.
Yes.
Well, he's always warning people about things no one believes him because like people only really believe the demonology that they want to believe.
Yeah. The specific character to invent for this show.
I'll just come in and tell you stuff. You're just like, I don't care. I want to go to Applebee's.
Do you have your own Fauci?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, we do hear
her name is Dr. Teresa Tam.
She's in a lot of commercials if you've got cable.
Yeah, Dr. Teresa Tam is the federal one, and then here in the Yukon,
a guy who kind of looks like Fauci, a bit, like a young Fauci.
We
like
do have a guy.
Fauci.
Yeah, we have young Fauci. We have Dr. Brendan Hanley.
He's like a young hot Fauci.
Yeah, on ABC.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the new Fauci next season.
A real filth. Oh, Lordy.
At the beginning of the episode, Sam is researching for ways to get Dean out of the deal. One of the pages he refers to is the German legend of Faust. Speaking of.
Well, it's not speaking of. I brought it up. That's what he was looking at.
But a Faust.
It's not a coincidence. I've said that.
Spoken of.
It's Fausty. So, according to the legend, Faust was a highly accomplished scholar who is bored or unsatisfied with what he has accomplished. He makes a deal with the devil's servant, Mephistopheles, for unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures in exchange for his soul. As a conditional deal, after set periods of life, the devil, Mephistopheles, will collect Faust's soul and will be eternally damned. So, meanwhile, Dean himself is inside the motel getting laid with two hot chicks.
Oh, yeah. Sam's...
There's two.
Okay.
Yeah, he
says the Doublemint twins later.
Oh.
Yeah, he goes to the window, gives a thumbs up to Sam, and Sam's like, "It's all right, I'll just shine these headlights at your fuck den." And then
it is weird he has the lights
And then
on.
he went in, and it's like,
Yeah.
what did you expect to see?
yeah.
So he calls them the Doublemint twins, which, for those who don't
What do you
know,
think he did see?
Oh, I think
a lot of Dean's ass.
Cleveland Steamer.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
The Doublemint twins are part of an old advertising campaign for Wrigley's Doublemint chewing gum. The company used identical twins for their advertising campaign.
I just found out that from another podcast, the girl in Joe Dirt, Brandy,
Yes.
one half of the Doublemint twins. The other one was retired, and she went into having an acting career after her twin sister retired.
Gotta love Blank Check.
Oh, black check.
God bless 'em. Shout out to my checkmates, not just my blankies.
Okay.
What?
I know that we're still in early days of this show.
Yeah.
We're leaning into the stuff that Dean likes. Dean's a man of simple tastes. And of course, like the twins thing feels like a bucket list item for Dean. Like having sex with twins feels like Dean going like, did it.
Yeah.
Great.
But like Austin Powers and Austin Powers 3.
But also like, what are the twins getting out of this? Like that's your
sister.
That's your sibling.
Dean.
That's the thing. I always was like, oh, the twin thing. I'm always like, but then you're together.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Do you just like, I'm taking the bottom, I'm taking the top? Like,
don't look at each other.
Yeah, don't meet in the middle. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I never understood that either.
Yeah.
It's not for people like us to understand. Dean in a dirty hotel outside of Chicago.
No, certainly not.
One can only dream.
He does have a breakfast bacon cheeseburger later.
Which,
so
very
much.
Yes.
Oh
yeah. So Bobby ends up calling Sam and tells them a bit about a possible lead on a demonic
much more
omen.
intense this season than the last time I saw him.
Oh yeah. Bobby shows up like 3 or 4 times through season 2.
Yeah.
And now Bobby
like
is
an everyday guy.
No,
he becomes that.
He becomes that.
Yeah.
Oh, see, and this whole time I thought he's sort of like, realize what I'm about to say. He's their cooter.
He kind of becomes that, but he only shows up
do they
at the
forget
end of
Daisy
season
Duke
1.
and this crew, because they are sort of the supernatural Dukes of Hazzard with the car.
Yes,
Yeah,
but not.
kind of, but not like that. But yes, they do.
They do it a better
You're
version
saying
of that.
At some point, I'm going to watch season 4 or 5, and there's not going to be a lady in hot pants.
No,
No.
no.
I'll be honest, it's a little disappointing.
Look, there are ladies in hot pants, but not
All right.
not a new member of the team.
Yeah.
I would say. So he tells them about a possible lead of a demonic omen outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. Only signs are a crop failure and a cicada swarm, but it's their only lead. Without further hesitation, the boys hit the road.
Yeah, and I love the
So Sam walks into the hotel.
Yeah, and then they're in the car, and Sam's like, give me your knife. I'm going to gouge out my eyes. Ew, my brother fucks, even though I knew that's what you were doing.
And then I went in.
And then I went in, yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot him a text.
Right? I mean, they had cell phones. Like, there's no
Yeah.
reason. I mean, not that Dean would be like checking his phone
Not
in the
gonna
middle.
answer it.
No.
Oh,
that's
that would
true.
be that would be such a Dean move. Just keep going and answer the phone.
Oh, that's true. Wait, does he have a Bluetooth headset?
No, I was like holding up the flip
Oh.
phone.
He absolutely does not. He has
Yeah.
a brick.
No, I was holding
color,
up
but it's
the
a brick.
holding
Yeah.
up the flip phone.
He's
Yeah.
hopefully like me, and he has that Sony Ericsson, the nicest phone I've ever owned.
Yeah, when does he get a Motorola Crazer?
No, man. It's all about the BlackBerry, the really thick business phone. I have one of those.
Business Richard wants a BlackBerry.
Listen,
Did I have one when I was
we all
21?
had
Sure.
Blackberries at one point.
I was fucking king of Brick Breaker.
Oh yeah.
So we're on the road just outside Lincoln, Nebraska. The boys meet up with Bobby at the house of one of the latest victims, hoping to find more leads of the demon. So interesting point here. Bobby's sitting on top of his car. The Chevy Chevelle Bobby is driving is the same one as the vampires that in Dead Man's Blood. So their same car.
Oh, it's their car.
Yeah.
Right. So they killed the vampires and took their car.
Yes, from
Yeah.
season 1, episode 20.
That's right.
They're surprised as they walk inside. There's an awful smell.
Yeah, like a particularly bad one. They're kind of combing through the house, and then they find these people just like withered and dead in front of the TV.
Yeah, they're basically rotting away. The TV
Pretty intense moment.
Yeah.
Because one was like a little boy.
Yeah, it's like a family. Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, also the TV show playing in the dead family's house is Dallas, season 2, episode 7, Dallas Runaway.
Because she I clocked because of the closed captioning. I clocked that she was talking about JR.
That's the reason I recognized it too. I wouldn't have known it except that she said, and JR's. I'm like, that's who they shot on Dallas.
Yeah.
They look around the house for traces of sulfur and don't find any or any other sort of signs of classic demon attacks.
and then like later, well, they also meet up with other
So
hunters here.
they go outside and they basically start getting attacked by other hunters, basically who think that they maybe are the demons still left there. So
Yeah.
they get
They're a
it.
nice couple, and they'll be fine.
and nothing bad will happen.
That's right. They're old time.
Sorry, we'll get there. That I was kind of taken aback. How
I thought you might
the
be.
show lets itself get like.
Yep.
Again, this
Yeah.
was one of the 100 times it was like Supernatural is aggressively not what I thought it was.
Nope.
Yeah.
The
I
show
don't like
loves to
this
make you
show.
feel that way. I know. But what's sad is I know just for the bit you will refuse to watch the show and only watch the season premieres.
Yeah, well, look, I got the strain now. And
I know.
Supernatural and I have a good relationship going. Why would we fuck it up by trying to make it more serious than we need to? Like,
Yeah, you just call it late night every couple times a year, and
Yeah. Supernatural, you up?
yeah, exactly. So while to the house, they run into these longtime hunter friends of Bobby's named Isaac and Tamara, who are working this case at the same time.
Yeah, and Bobby is the one like, oh, I know you guys. And that
Bobby knows everybody.
there's a very like
Knows people.
Definitely.
we're really leaning into this like Dean's having fun and fucking and eating and stuff like that, and like Dean has been knocked out, and they do this shot where only his hand pops up, and he's like, I'm bleeding down here.
Yes.
Ah.
Yeah. Dean's Playford laughed in this episode. I love it.
It's a very weird, like Pratt Folly kind of moment in an episode that turns very dark very quickly.
That's what's wild to me, and kind of what I've really become intoxicated on with this show is that like I love a show that is willing to change tone
Yeah.
turn, because I think like that, at least for me, is like very dramatically interesting, especially when you're doing something with like action or suspense or horror, which this show really leans on harder than I realized it would on any of those things.
Yeah.
That like it's so good at lulling you into a false sense of security and then fucking throwing some shit at you that fucks you up in a way that like I have spent a near decade trying to love American Horror Story, because
Ugh.
conceptually I love the idea, and I love that the show is written by one just horny man high on ether, just like punching his dick against the typewriter. Like, and yet, like, every time I'm just like, could this be scary for 15 seconds?
Yeah.
There's no to every horror TV show, but this show does like some of the closest I've seen to like legitimately hitting something where like, oh, there's some like good turns here. Like, this is like some good horror movie shit.
Exactly. So they go to Isaac and Tamara's house. Later on, Dean's getting in touch with a coroner who tells him that the cause of death for the whole family was dehydration and starvation.
Yeah, like they weren't attacked or anything.
Yeah.
But Dean also gets this information. Like, he's on the phone in the background the whole time, and you hear him being like, "Oh, well, if you look as sweet as you sound," he's like being very aggressively horny.
Dirtbag Dean. In full effect.
Yeah.
Which I mean, none of this makes sense because there's a full stock fridge just a few feet away. They then talk to Isaac and Tamara and basically like, hey, we should work on this together. Like, more bodies definitely is going to help. And they were very like.
Well, Isaac's like, we're not going to work with the people that let the fucking hellgate open.
Yeah,
and then you realize it's like, oh man, that Hunter network is now like those Winchester fuck ups.
Yeah,
which I kind of love.
Yeah. It's
but
not
also
just like
no credit for closing the gate.
Yeah,
it's only that like you fucked it up enough.
I like that because a different show would have been like, oh, like the rest of the hunters don't know that this happened, or they know that something happened, but they don't know that. Like, this is like,
because it's only been like 5 days.
Yeah,
I think since that
they
happened.
know they did it, but they're not like you killed the world. They're more like you made everybody else's job harder.
Yeah,
you assholes. Like, it's such a specific. Like, again, I just love the show has turned to Kyle once this season. Loves Supernatural. There's a working level to it that I think is really fun, that again I super enjoy and stuff. Like, I love a working class demon slayer.
They're jobbers.
Just like, I love that somebody just like puts out their cigarette and goes, all right, let's go fucking kill these demons.
Yeah, exactly.
They're fucking jobbers. They show up, they get the job done, they go to the next town.
It does feel like the sort of complaint where it's like, we used to get 3 smoke breaks a day until you motherfuckers cut it down to 2. Yeah.
We could have a full Waffle House breakfast before having to go rescue a family in the suburbs.
Yeah. Now we have a light like bar, and that's it. Like, so outside the house, we see a young female blonde suddenly appear in the dense fog, looking suspicious at the house, but doesn't enter.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah, Katie Cassidy.
That's right. From
later
Arrow.
to appear on Arrow.
Yeah.
On Arrow.
She's Laurel Lance. She's Black Canary.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We then go to a department store.
Yes.
There's a demon-possessed man from the beginning of the episode who walks into a local department store and approaches some random girl inside. He lays his hand on her and says, say, those are some nice shoes. Yeah. Gesturing towards a woman examining a green pair of heels. Again, tying to our sort of sin thing.
Green with envy.
Yeah, that's right. Making
and so the woman goes over and says, those are nice shoes. I want them. And the woman goes like, sorry.
You're crazy.
Like,
leaves.
no, well, the woman goes like, last pair.
Yeah.
And then she pays for them, goes out to the car. This blonde woman follows her out and goes, I want those shoes. She's like, what are you, fucking crazy? And then this woman beats her face against the windshield until she dies.
You know what they should have done as far as song clearances go? Do you guys remember that meme song? Let's get some shoes.
Oh my God.
You should have played that when she bashed the lady's
I was
face
curious,
in.
what part of that killed her? It seemed like she went down pretty easy.
Do you know what I wanted to see? Because the shot kind of set it up was like her eye out.
Yeah.
Because like her face in the windshield is right in the crack there. There's a bunch of blood. And I think I wanted to see a little of that.
Yeah.
I said to Taylor that I figured out what would have went for me from like, oh, this is actually a pretty good show to like, oh, this is truly the greatest thing I've seen and everyone must know, is if this show was like 50% more violent. Like, I feel like this show wants to be more violent than it is. Like, this show has such a hard on to be on HBO for 40 seconds because it just wants to explode somebody's head and then go back to doing whatever.
It's so close.
It's true.
So often. Yeah.
They get more because the amount that I watched as a teenager
Yeah.
was pretty much these first couple of seasons.
She
For sure.
asked me about an episode if I had seen, and it's the one episode I'd seen.
The single greatest music cue of all time, and it's when Dean's like, oh no, Reaper, and then Don't Fear the Reaper comes in.
And that was the moment where I was like, oh, this show might be good when I watched the last one.
But I watched the first couple seasons as a teen, and that was my kind
I
of
don't know that the show
It stays.
necessarily gets more violent,
Yeah.
but I do think they get better at what we were talking about, which is setting you up to feel one thing and then turning the other.
Yeah.
Like I do think the show gets good at, like, we can't be overly violent, but we need to imply something so fucked up that when you're watching, you go like, "Oh shit! Oh
Yeah,
Jesus!"
And they do good work.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So I get confused.
Yeah. So they fucking slam this lady's head into a car windshield until she dies.
I love when we cut to like the crime scene. You know,
Yes.
the guys show up here, but again, closed captioning. So great to watch with the closed captioning. Somebody says, "Get this," like they're doing like swabs and stuff, and someone says, "Get this to Grissom."
Yeah.
Does CSI take place in Chicago? Are we canonically linking
It's in
this?
Miami, but it could be.
Well,
it
there's
definitely-
CSI Miami,
This is CSI crime scene
but
investigation.
CSI, the original show,
Yeah.
does that take place in Chicago?
Yeah.
Or
So
is it
they're
Las
saying,
Vegas,
"Get
isn't
this
it?
to Grissom."
No, I'm
Either
pretty
way,
sure.
yes, it is. So what I'm getting.
No,
at
that
is
you're right. It takes place in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
Because I clocked that and I was like, "Oh, is that in Chicago?"
Maybe it's before or after. Who knows where it is in the
also, like,
CSI
God
timeline?
bless him for just throwing it out there so that we will have this conversation. Also,
Because-
one of the handful of shows I've seen where I'm like, oh, somebody who's a fan dubs these. Somebody who works for closed captioning also loves Supernatural.
100%.
But also, like, that line doesn't have to be in there. You're not looking at the person saying it. It's clearly ADR, but someone is just like very quietly like, "Oh, I got this over to Grissom." Like,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
like it doesn't have to be there at all.
No, not
It's
at
wild.
all. Basically, the cops arrive on scene. Bobby and the boys show up, and they're looking for signs of a demon possession. This is also the first time we ever see Bobby in anything other than his usual vest and trucker hat.
Yeah, he looks great. He says he just came from the DA's office, so he
Yeah.
was posing as a lawyer or spook or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
down.
I know. Yeah, it starts connecting, right? Like this is a whole thing with the hunters. Is they all learn how to
Oh yeah.
do dress up.
Oh,
Jesus,
Bobby
Bill.
can pull.
Oh yeah. So
You heard it here first.
He
Ghost-
didn't say hi to that couple in a way like they're friends from work. He was there.
Oh, Bobby's giving out a mustache rise. So they find no
He's
trace.
giving out scraggly beard rides. Let's be honest.
Yeah. They find no traces of sulfur at all. It seems as if the girl really just wanted those shoes. Taking a look at the
Am I right?
they be shopping. Taking a look at the surveillance tape, they see a possessed man approach the girl and decide to follow him as their next move. So now they've made that connection to that guy from the first scene in this show, and now they realize maybe this guy might.
Well,
be
we
a
get some
demon.
good Bobby wisdom here where he's like, "I've seen a lot of things. I
Yeah.
don't believe a coincidence." Because I think the guys are ready to be like, "Well,
Yes.
Women be shopping.
Yeah. Outside the department.
He's like, come on, Sam. Women be shopping.
Dean, I'm pretty sure there's got to be a demon there. Nah, man. Be shopping. Did you see the Nutty Professor? Dave Chappelle made this pretty clear.
Yeah. Guys shop like this, women shop like this.
oh god."
You ever notice how Sam's always driving a car like Dean? And then Dean's driving a car like Sam.
Yeah. So outside the department store, the blonde girl who appeared outside of Isaac's and Tamara's house last night appears across the street behind a tree. She seems to be taking a high interest in Sam. She follows Sam as he's walking down the block, but she makes herself scarce before he turns around.
That's how you know it's plot related. If a woman takes an interest in Sam, it's going to come back later. If a woman takes an interest in Dean, she's about to be cannon fodder.
Yes. So we're now at a local bar that evening. Bobby and the boys are outside of a local bar where Walter Rosen, the demon-possessed man from Oak Park, likes to hang out.
Yeah.
The bar the demons are at is called the Old Terminal Pub.
Yeah. I mean, we also at this point don't know demons. We just
Yes.
know he's showing up there.
Yes.
Dean just wants to go in and kill this thing, or Sam, Dean. I think both.
I think
do.
Dean wants to just go right in.
Bobby
and
is like, "We're gonna wait, you stupid fucks." And then they go, "I don't think that's an option." And we see the couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tamara and Isaac show up.
gets to the gnarliest scene in the
Yeah.
episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the Isaac and Tamara sit down at the table near the demon. A few minutes later, Rosen walks to the bathroom. As Isaac is getting up to confront the demon from the bar, Tamara says, "I love you." His response, "I know." This
Star
is a
Wars.
reference to the famous exchange between Han Solo and Leia Organa in Star Wars Episode 5. Sorry.
Jesus.
I was like, the math of the prequels fucked me up. The Empire Strikes Back is what it is. So Isaac heads to the bathroom. He's halted by another demon, and the two of them discover that they are trapped inside of the bar with 7 demons.
Yeah, and it's bad shit. Like they're circling them.
It's scary.
Lest is like, I'm gonna do something to this one, and you're like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. Like, hey, side note, can we just watch that first?
The threat level of that, like, they don't go that route in this
Jesus
episode.
Christ, you guys
but
look so fucking cute. What the hell?
Now,
We had
now,
heads together
yeah.
listening to the Ghostfacers.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, now because you guys have been too cute, one of you will have to drink bleach.
So this scene is one of the handful of things I've ever seen in a TV show that reminds me of reading a Stephen King book.
Sure. Yeah.
It looks like we're going to resolve this thing with the solution that any rational person would go and do, that your like, friend who doesn't operate in like genre stuff would be like, fuck that. I'm going to walk into that bar. I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy and it's all going to work out because I'm a go-getter and I'm a doer and you're a bunch of dummies. And then your partner drinks bleach in front of you. You're tortured by demons.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
It's a thing I'm a big fan of in horror as a convention, is the confident person who goes and their plan does not work at all and they're brutally punished for it. I think as a person who's like very like, I'm going to plan this out. Every time I like watch someone go like, never mind, I'm confident and got this, and they're brutally killed. I'm like, haha.
And that goes all the way. That goes all the way back
I'm
to.
probably drinking the acid in this situation.
Well, look,
Oh,
I'm
God.
gonna miss you a lot.
But that goes all the way back to season 1, episode 2, and Wendigo. They have that guy who's like the tracker that takes them into the woods, and he's like, "You morons don't know what you're doing," and he gets viciously killed.
If you're listening to this, if you find yourself in a potential horror situation and you find yourself incredulous and think that the frightened people around you who are wanting to be cautious are lame, take a choice real quick. Think about your family. Think about your children. Is it worth making the point because you're about to instantly die?
But I'll just be like, Leroy Jenkins.
I really liked her. Now she's so dead.
Drain cleaner is such an interesting thing, right? Because it's one of those things that I have to go, yeah, I guess that wouldn't be good, and then watch it and then sort of internalize it, go, well, if it cleans out pipes, oh no.
Well, it's
being poisoned is so one of the worst ways to die.
I think the frothy blood bubbling up from the throat
Yeah.
really was
the thing we haven't said explicitly here is that Gluttony touches the guy and says, "You seem thirsty," and hands him a fucking giant thing of Drano.
Fucking great horror moment.
And I love
I've never seen that before.
And
either.
I love like the yellow goopy shit while he's
the
drinking
color of
it.
is so awful because it's this chemical yellow color.
Yeah.
Like,
But her having to just watch.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and like these are hunters, and it's immediately gone to like pleading, like, please don't keep drinking this.
Yeah.
Like it's really
hear
rough.
That, confident people in this world.
Yeah. Take it down a notch, you're gonna die.
Yeah, basically.
Hubris. It's one of the not sins.
Yeah.
It's the sin wearing the suit.
Nice guy.
So
he just watched Wall Street.
He looks like the Bonanitis guy from Futurama. It's all I can think about. It's like, we don't have to worry about this guy. He's going to die of Bonanitis soon.
That's very funny. But so yeah, Isaac straight up dies.
Yeah, it's bad.
The Bobby and the boys are trying to get inside of the bar. They're like
they're
knocking
hammering on
the
the door and
we basically are like,
Use the doorknob.
I know, fucking idiots. Talk about a couple of doorknobs.
That would be amazing if they're like, did anybody turn this?
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
Crush a car through.
And so you assume Tamara's gonna die, and that's when the boys come.
That car crash scene is fucking dope.
Yeah,
it's fucking great. They slam
That's a
through
banger of a moment when they're just like, and then just car through wall backwards.
Yes,
car through wall, and then they get out and they start sloshing holy water.
This is sort of the
around.
like Wild West moment, right? Because prior to this moment, like we had never.
That's true. This is like a saloon fight.
Yeah. the holy water used to be just like thrown at their shirts and stuff like that. This is the first time you really see it across their faces, which is I think the show hadn't done before. Kind of a cool new way of approaching that. But yeah, I mean, they like slam through. They just basically like their whole point is just to get the fuck out
They
because
get
they're realizing.
Dean runs out of holy water and Envy comes for him and he hits him. He punches him in the face, jams him in the trunk, and the trunk has a devil's trap inside it.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Which is pretty
I'm
cool.
gonna grab one of these guys.
Yeah, and they basically drive off. So, some fun behind the scenes fact here. In the filming, when the boys are escaping the bar, several takes were done with Jared actually driving into the back of Bobby's car. The director, Kim Manners, wanted it to happen really fast because Jared is 6'4" and was driving into a small space. He kept banging his head in the same spot over and over and over. When hair and makeup came through to touch him up after the scene, the hairstylist ran her hands through Jared's hair, and a small clump of hair with a piece of scalp came out.
Oh, Jesus.
They then used that clump of hair in a box the boys used to summon a Crossroads demon later in the series.
Oh, Jesus.
I fucking love that.
That's how you keep the budget down.
Yeah, I take a lot of head trauma. It's a tall guy thing.
You're like 6'4", aren't you?
6'6".
Oh my god, that's right.
You're 6'6"?
What a monster.
I'm too big.
Good
Remember when you
Lord.
showed up here and I jumped into your arms and you carried me like a small
I do.
child?
I absolutely remember that. It's the
Aw,
first physical
cute.
interaction we had.
Yeah,
I think Jensen has kind of short energy.
he's not. He's like 6'1" or 6 foot tall.
But you're right. He does. He's got like little scrapper Joe
one's
Pesci kind of.
That's Dean.
Dean.
Oh yeah, he definitely has little guy energy.
And he's not little, just
No, he's
next
not.
to Sam.
Yeah.
He's so small.
Is Sam super big?
He's like 6'4"
He's
or
6'4".
something. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys started using actor names, and I was like, I don't know what's happening.
made the
here.
switch.
I only know
Yeah.
Sam and Dean.
Fair. I mean, that's all they ever are going to be. So I don't know why we ever use any other name.
No, Jensen is going to have a long and prosperous career, and Jared is going to be Cordell Walker for one more season.
Have you guys seen all the like recent drama between the two of them?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean,
We don't have
Now
time for
I'm out of the
this.
game.
we don't need to rehash this too much, but basically, Dean Jensen announced that him and his wife are going to make like a prequel show for Supernatural.
They're going to produce.
I was actually going to throw
tweeted
out a
about
shout
this.
out on this. If anybody who works on Supernatural or knows the process for Supernatural, I have never wanted to write in gig more than I want to write on this spinoff.
Yeah, dude.
Like it is. I keep looking at it, just going like, oh my god, I want this to run for an additional 15 seasons, and I would like to write for 10 of them.
Yeah.
Well, very specific. You don't want to come for five.
I want me and Taylor to get a supernatural house.
Oh yeah. So basically, they announced this over. Jensen had announced this over TikTok, and then Jared responded, going, "Hey, happy for you. Weird that I found out like this."
Oh, that's
Yeah.
weird. That's a bummer. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Shit.
So now it's going to sort of turn into this whole thing where we now joke that Sam constantly wants to be, or Jared wants to be friends with Dean, and he doesn't really give a shit. So
Yeah, because Jensen is the Dean. He's the cool one.
He is. It's so weird. I literally would have never thought of either of them as big. Like they both just seem like just fun boys.
So back at the house with Rosen tied to the chair underneath the Devil's Trap, Bobby, Tamara, and the boys are trying to figure out what their next move is. Looking at one of the books, Bobby soon realizes that they're up against the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
So we finally, it is now out in the open. At this exact moment, like we talked about early, Dean says, "What's in the box?"
Yeah, Dean gives a 7 reference, but it's again this tone shift thing where like Tamara is like grief stricken, rage filled, all this stuff, and then Dean is making a joke. They're just on the heels of her husband being dead, and they're like, "Oh, a fuck, like a big demon,"
Yeah.
and Dean's like, "Joke, joke, joke. No, nobody."
Yeah, because this is where he sort of like doesn't give a shit anymore because he's like, I'm going to die, so I'm just going to have all of the fun all of the time. It's kind of the perfect episode to have these like gluttony and lust and all this stuff because that's obviously what Dean himself is doing.
Envy has this big thing where he's like, "Do you think you're like better than us? We're just like your fucking human nature, you stupid animals," kind of thing. And he's like, my other sins, they're coming for me, you stupid fucks, all that kind of
That
thing.
actor's real good.
Yeah, he is. He's great.
awesome.
He's got good like energy for it. Yeah.
So we're discovered that like these are actually Bobby basically makes a comment about the 1589 Peter Binsfield classification of basically that the 7 deadly sins are associated with demons as follows: Lucifer is pride, Mammoth is greed, Asmodeus is lust, Leviathan is envy, Beelzebub is gluttony, and Satan is wrath, and Belphegor is sloth.
Which is not what the show is doing. The show, like none of them are Lucifer, but the show is taking the idea that the sins are not just conceptual, they're demons.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to lose you, I want to at least get your thoughts on this show before we end on this episode.
Yeah. Well, so basically they go in, they have a real Wild West where they fight the demons off. You get a couple of great fight scenes there.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd really understood the roof demon trap thing. And so that's a pretty cool conceit the show has.
Yes.
Yeah, they put a demon trap on the roof so that maybe they wouldn't see it. But then I think it's Pride is like,
They're in that trap.
yeah, Pride is like, you're going to trap me with this. And he breaks the trap. So it's like 3 of them are fighting Sam. Yeah, Bobby traps Gluttony and exercises.
Yeah.
Or, no, not Gluttony, Sloth, and exercises
I
him.
will say-
Sex with lust.
Yeah. As a fun note, like the salt perimeter that they had, as a teenager, I certainly did used to salt my windowsills.
Really?
Part like the Romanian in me that like I don't want to have like vampires, like I gotta take no chances.
Wow.
Raised in Catholicism, then I'm like, I'll put the salt down. So I would take like the giant box of kosher salt, and I used to salt my windows, like on the outside, not on
May
the
I
inside.
ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you also eat the salt?
Well, you got to get a little lick of the salt.
That's
And it's in
amazing.
you too.
This is
I like that Dean makes out with Lust and then fucking like drowns her in holy water.
Jason Friday
Yeah.
the 13th style.
Yeah.
murders her.
We get Business Demon doing a Here's Johnny.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't play, kind of like Dean's joke. Like I like that in this show sometimes jokes don't play even for the characters within the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruby then shows up basically when all seems lost.
Yeah.
This
So
is the
Ruby
the
is this blonde
girl.
who's been following
Yeah.
Sam.
And she suddenly has a knife that can fucking kill demons and just like
Yeah.
wipes
It's not
through them all.
exercising them. It's killing them. So we get some cool like glowing throat slashes.
Yeah.
The effect of a demon dying is like shorting out. Kind of like
Yeah.
this like crackle and they short out.
The thing that they use for basically the rest of the series.
We get
yeah.
one of those great like hot fuzz stabs up through the
Yeah. One of the also the things that I don't want to skip past is the moment when they have Isaac actually come back. Right before they sort of have this huge fight, and he's like Tamara,
You left me behind.
remember that time when we were like sitting on the bench or whatever, like that. Oh God,
That's some straight Stephen King shit
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's some like early Stephen King. Like, well, your loved ones come and ask you for help, but it's because demons play exactly to your empathy and then destroy.
But then
you
she
for it.
does go like "fuck you" and
Yeah.
kills him,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
Does she ever come back again?
no,
I don't
No.
think so.
no, she definitely doesn't.
I want to believe she just went and got like she got her real estate license and was like, like she's got to get out
There's
of the
like
game at that point.
7 years she just doesn't talk to people about, and they all think it was like
Yeah.
drugs, but it's because she was a demon slayer and her husband died.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically this blonde woman comes in and just fucking murks all of these demons, slices them all up.
And says like, "See you later, Sam,"
Yeah.
and just leaves.
Yeah. Just sort of opening up this huge mystery. The next day when the boys are sort of all dealing with everything and they're salt and burning all of the bodies of the demons, Sam asks Body what kind of blade could kill a demon. Dean asks, who is that masked chick? He's referencing to a classic line from the 1930s radio, 1950s TV Western, The Lone Ranger from 1949.
Yeah, except she didn't have a mask on, so that joke also doesn't play.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
but it does open up the question of like, who is that lady? How was she able to kill these demons with a single knife? But then also the sort of final question we have, which
Also,
is,
like, and why did she talk to Sam and not me?
yes, more importantly,
Is it because it's a plot thing?
yes. Dean explains to Sam that he's basically just sick of the job. He's like, stop trying to look for a way to solve this problem. Stop trying to free me. Like,
Dean has to fess up that part of the deal that he made is that if they try and renege on the deal in any way, they're both dead.
so he's like, I've got a year to live. So what say we kill some evil sons of bitches and we raise a little hell?
Yeah.
And that's,
Sounds great. Is that what the season ends up being?
yes.
because like I love the idea that like there's a season of the show where they're just sort of like nihilist fucking hedonist demon hunters.
I mean, yeah, but Dean definitely
Actually,
is.
it's not the only season that does that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very
Like
much
a Star
just
Trek
like,
where every odd season is like a nihilist sexy time.
I mean,
Maybe not exactly, but ish. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. But that's basically the end of this episode.
Do you want to give like your general final thoughts on the episode and
sure.
a ranking out of 5 whatevers?
Out of 5 demon souls.
Sure.
I mean, I continue to be wonderfully delighted by the show. Like I'm genuinely, I have had a theory for a long time that like for many TV shows, you can watch the premiere and the finale and kind of get everything you need out of an entire series. And I would say the difference between this show and many shows that I say that about is this show, I feel like I would actually be curious what happens in those middle episodes, whereas many shows on television, I do not at all.
Right.
So it's been a delight. Like it was fun watching it with her because she has some.
This particular episode reminded me of Demon Knight, the movie.
Oh yes,
because
Right.
they're like in a house, especially the big, like the shootout, the fight.
Yeah.
They're like trapped in one location and they all have to fight these things.
Yeah.
God, just imagining Billy Zane fighting the Supernatural brothers.
Oh,
It's truly a battle of the Titans.
Billy Zane would have been like an interesting, like 6-episode guest star kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Good villain for a chunk.
Yeah.
Or like his uncle. He's like their hot uncle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did really enjoy the there was a little moment where Sam had like a jug of holy water and it was just filling up the flask.
Yes.
Yeah.
The idea
too.
that they just go get it blessed. Just
Yeah.
like, in
In
mass.
bulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to Costco and then they swing by a priest's house. Like
Well, we got it in the first season. Jeffrey Dean Morgan drops like a rosary in like a water tower
Yeah.
and does like shit like that at one point. I
Turns
love
on
the sort of
sprinklers,
makeshift holy water thing.
Fucking
yeah.
love that. MacGyvering demon hunting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it always makes me think of From Dusk Till Dawn, where they realize the guy is a priest, and so he can bless the tap, and they start filling the condoms and turning them into water balloons to throw at vampires.
Great.
Yeah,
Fuck, that's a good
exactly.
movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, what is your sort of ranking for this episode?
I would say that of the two, I probably liked this episode more than the last one because it's a little more my speed. The other one was a good episode, but
For sure.
it's very like we're going to stand here in the afterlife and debate the merits of being alive, which is fun, but it's not as fun as a shootout with demons in a house.
Yeah, 100%.
Totally agree.
So yeah, I would say every time I watch one, I enjoy it more. Like it's I really am loving it, and it's a real fun show. Like,
What's crazy is that like the middle episodes are the ones that I actually think you would love even more, but I do love the idea of just pulling you in for the premieres.
I think this is great.
clearly
in the middle episodes, you get all of the BS that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to worry as much about throwing a ton of plot in. You can just have like a little standalone, just a neat little chunk.
This definitely feels like a show that is more the speed I am coming into of the sort of like I can watch a couple while working on a podcast and like get stuff out of it, but I don't have to worry that I'm watching the most important thing ever made that requires all of my attention at all times.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For me, it was interesting because I don't think I'm sure I've seen this episode. I just didn't particularly have a strong memory of it.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched an episode of Supernatural in many years, like probably since I was a teenager, or maybe with Kyle at some point. I don't know. I just haven't seen it in a long time, so it was kind of fun to just like remember these like fandom things.
That's
and,
awesome.
Like, little isms that I had forgotten about. So there was some nostalgia.
She
in
pointed out
watching
that
it,
I'm
too.
clearly a Sam girl.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah. Without a doubt.
I get it.
Because I was a Dean girl, but I wasn't like into Dean. I just
No,
like
you
I was like
be Dean.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
I want to drive around
Most
in the
of what
car
you're
and listen to the
about
music.
is Dean. Like when I get in your car and you just blast Bachman Turner Overdrive. Give me
Yeah.
the
We
finger.
talked about this, Richard. I think I was like joking that you were a Sam girl, but then you said you were a Dean girl.
Actively. Yeah. I was very hurt and upset when you said that.
Well, you've got Sam girl energy.
I mean, if that's because I love Kyle.
Sam girl
Yeah.
move.
Yeah. If I love
Kyle's an
Kyle, I
absolute
guess.
Sam
Yeah.
girl.
Well,
Reed,
I think
what are
it's because
you?
the idea.
I mean,
that
I am a Sam, but I'm a
Yeah,
Dean. I'm a
okay,
I'm a
okay.
Dean girl. Like
Okay.
I want to be with Dean, but I am a Sam.
That's interesting.
That is why Richard is horrified at the idea of being a Sam, because it implies that for one waking second, Reed might be the Dean, and that is unacceptable.
Okay.
That's exactly what it is.
In this dynamic, there's no way I'm not the Dean.
Yeah,
so
no,
in every duo, there's
I've
got to be
made peace
interesting
with my Samness.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And if we were talking about the group of us, we're all Sams except for Taylor, who's a Dean.
Oh yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Fucking lootly.
So what's your
I-
ranking?
I can't stand by these guys and not be a Dean.
That's true. The juxtaposition just forces it.
I'd rank it number 1 of all time.
Out of 5?
Out of 2.
Sorry, out of 5. I'll give it a 5 out of 5.
Nice.
I'll be quite liberal with my stars today.
All right,
Taylor?
I'll call it a 5 because it was very classic. Because again, I don't know what goes on in later seasons, but I assume they have to kind of queer the concept of the show and like take it into something else.
Oh, yeah.
This was so pure Supernatural. This is all
Totally.
I want out of Supernatural. I don't want decades of lore.
Yeah.
I can only take a couple seasons of lore.
Oh,
Like I just want, yeah.
my heart.
That's why Loki didn't work for me. I don't want to know about this world. I don't want to know about this dynamic. I just want to be able to get in there.
That's all I want out of anything
Forever.
That's the thing. That's where the like my nerddom has a cap.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm just very tired. This was just enough lore that I could feel like I was a part of something without having to do a ton of work.
That's fair.
That's
Fair.
my
All
sweet
right.
In my
spot.
case is like I spent my teens and 20s reading all of 1980s X-Men. So like I have all the lore and complicated plotting. Like I read the thing that invented what TV does now and called clever 30 years ago. And so I'm sort of like, I'm good, but also like you're never gonna make a thing with Storm in it. So there's an upper limit of how much I can give a fuck.
Fair. Absolutely.
But
So
this show does the opposite, where it is very much like we have lore, don't worry about it. We're gonna blast some AC/DC. You fucking kick back and let's slay some goddamn demons. I'm like, make this show president.
All right.
So talk about our reviews.
So I like it's the thing we were talking about where the tone balance. The episode goes from this sort of like it's kind of liberating to see Dean be so like hedonistic because so much of the show can be like, what did dad do to us? And blah, blah, blah. And then to have Dean just be like, I'm having a cheeseburger. Like Bobby's like, we're having bacon cheeseburgers for breakfast. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of love that, you know, the silly like bleeding down here,
Yeah.
that or the Seven reference. Dean is being very, even though it's inappropriate, it's like kind of a weight off, and that feels so good. And then you also get these bits with like this family, including the kid, just sat until they died, and then like, the guy drinking the bleach or the Drano or whatever, like that's real aggressive. And even like the way Ruby comes in, we're like slashing throats, stabbing up through jaws. Dean he drowns a demon in holy water, but like the demon's in a person. Dean drowns a person.
Yeah.
Like this episode is both doing like, isn't it nice to see like that they can be light and jokey, and Sam being like, oh, gouge my eyes, I saw you sex.
Yes.
And then also this very like heavy shit. And to end on the note of like, if we let out the 7 deadly sins, what else did we let out? And like that, then the episode ends and you're like, oh God. Like it's a pretty crazy balancing act, and I think the episode pulls it off really well. I think the visuals are good. Like it's the first time we get that crackle short out thing for demon death. Crazy good VFX. I like the cloud. It looks good. The cloud even chasing the guy at the beginning. Like I think this all works well.
Yeah.
Nothing feels too hokey or nothing looks like it got green screened, you know, like the end of season 2, which was its own thing, but it all looks very good. We get Bobby really solidly in this episode, and that always helps elevate a little bit. We get more of that hunter community and stuff. This is a very, very solid episode. I'm going to give this 5 windshield beatings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't have a ton extra to say. I think you're absolutely right. I love the sort of balance between violence and comedy here. I mean, this is really, I think, what they unleash with Dean in this season, especially like having him sort of have this freedom to be the full version of himself, is a thing that they don't like, that he gets to keep for a long time. I mean, this is the sort of like unleashed fun Dean that like allows them to play him a little bit more for jokes, I think.
Because Jensen is a good comedic actor.
Great. They both actually are pretty great at comedy. And I think that, this really allowed them to sort of like unleash him a bit more. And a thing that even after maybe the problems of this season are gone, he never really lose that side of him. That's a thing that they can always touch back with because they know it's a part of him. So,
and even within the next couple of episodes, we're going to get a lot more of comedy Sam and Dean. Like this season, I do think plays with that more. There's a couple of episodes in, and this is a shorter season. It's the writer's strike season. There's only 16 episodes. Of those 16 episodes, I'd say at least 3 of them kind of lean on comedy Sam and Dean a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to also, I think, give this 5 out of 5 Drano throats.
That's a tough one to swallow.
Oh, well said. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a solid episode. It's a great start for this new season.
Great start for season 3.
Before we wrap things up, we have a letter from a fellow hunter.
Hey!
From Emily. She writes, hey, y'all. I just started listening to your podcast, and I absolutely love it. The lore, the background info, and the comedy is great.
Hey!
I did have a question that deals with season 1, episode 4. So this is the first...
So that's Phantom Traveler.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Perfect episode to sort of tie into this one. This is the first time demons are brought up, and we see how they use the word Cristo or Cristo to H or without the H. I realized I said the same thing twice and it didn't really come. I tried, and it's funny because I tried to say it without an H, and I don't.
Well, yeah, there's no easy way to.
No. Cristo. So they say Cristo to make the demon show itself, but do they ever use this method again? We see them always trying to hunt down demons later on, but I don't remember them using that simple method ever again. Hope you all have a great day.
I don't remember them doing that move again. I think the show replaces that move with the holy water test.
Yeah.
They'd put something in a drink or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's the move that they use from now on. I can't think of an instance any time other than that where they like whisper like Cristo or something to see what it does.
And I looked it up and they don't. They don't use it ever again. And I think it's interesting watching the relationship with demons on this show sort of evolve. Because I mean, you watch in that episode 4 and they treat them like this like mythical villains that are almost unbeatable and that we don't even know if they really exist. And it's
they only
through
just
hearsay.
learned about a devil's trap. It's a blind spot for most hunters.
To even by this episode where they like are throwing devil's traps inside of cars and things like that.
But also those other hunters have like holy wood that like we're developing demon technology basically. Like
that's sort of like happening as the demons are becoming more prevalent too, I'm guessing, right? So I think that they find other ways to sort of like deal with demons and find out that they're there and things like that. And I think that the Cristo thing worked so well for that episode because you're trying to do it very subtly inside of a plane. Yeah. And so they needed a method like that, right? And so, and I think that especially when you're dealing with like higher calibers of demons, especially, those simple things are probably less effective, would be my guess.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we don't really ever get it again, because you could constantly are having to raise the stakes and you're only really dealing with sort of bottom of the barrel demons in that first season. So it's a cool thing, and it's interesting to think about the fact that they don't do that again. But thank you for writing in, Emily. We really appreciate that.
That's awesome.
If you want to also send us a message or ask us a question or just talk about your love for the show or anything like that, you can do it through a bunch of different platforms, one being our email.
Yeah, ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
And we are, of course, on all of the social media platforms that we are age appropriate for.
That's right. At Ghostfacerspod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That's right. I'm on TikTok, but only passively, which maybe is creepier.
I'm creeping on TikTok right now because I don't think I have content to
or you want content, but not worth to putting in the effort to make it.
Where I get lazy. Yeah.
And if you want even more content from us, we have a whole other podcast that I think might be relevant to some of your interests.
Yeah, check out the Dr. DC podcast. You can get it wherever you listen to podcasts. We talk about DC Comics. If you like how we talk about the lore of Supernatural and stuff like that and behind the scenes things, that's basically what we're doing over there, but we're talking about superhero comics. We're talking about Batman and Superman and the Justice League and things like that. And we answer listener questions. You don't need to know anything. It's just sort of fun chat about this like really in-depth lore. So if that's the thing you like over here, check that one out. You might dig that too.
Right. Yeah, Dean and Sam are kind of like superheroes, and it's not all capes and tights over on DC. So
that's true.
I think that you'll find a way in for sure. All right, that is it for this week. All right, before you go, give us your socials, and you can get yourselves out of here.
I'm at Kyle Clark is rad on the Twitter and the Instagrams. If you see posts on it, it's usually because Taylor took my phone like she did last night to promote the show.
I was wondering. I was like, whoa, you posted something.
I know that was weird.
Kyle's
Yeah.
phone. I held it up to his face.
A fun fact, she was doing this well. She would hold it up to my face to open up my face unlock on my phone. And then
While
she
we
was
watched this
posting
episode.
shows info while we were watching this episode.
God, you're lucky.
That's awesome.
I'm at I'm real Taylor VH on Instagram and Twitter, and you can follow my skategram if you want to follow
Do
me
it.
roller skating.
Yeah.
Solid.
lb.quadsquad. That's probably going to be changing soon though. But
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you
I know
both.
you got to go, but thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, this
Big
is Rad,
hugs.
This
Thanks,
is Rad
guys.
Podcast. Big hugs to both you guys. You're the best. And I'm
Radland Records.
That's right.
I can't stay longer, but JLS rests for no man. You guys are the best, and I look forward to facing you Ghost Boys in season 4.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Love you both. Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.